All right, listen here. It's the 15th. This is what we doing this week. We got Juneteenth coming up. It's the beginning of the celebration for Juneteenth. Here in Mayhem Social Media Coalition, we are definitely in support of Juneteenth, man. You know, it's something new to me as Carlton Mayhem personally. I'm going to tell you something new to me. Juneteenth, I've heard the kind of saying, throughout my life, but the celebration of it, I've never really, I've never participated in, period, and I've never really heard about any type of celebrations being held. I've lived in California my whole life, so maybe that's the reason why. And it seems with the little research I've been doing, it's kind of celebrated mostly in the South. But listen here. Today is Monday, June 15th. As everybody should know, if you do not know, Juneteenth is June 19th. Juneteenth is to be celebrated on the 19th of June. And with that, Mayhem Social Media suggests that all blacks that are happy and proud of their privilege that have here in America, although it's not as privileged as we would like it to be, we're going to call it a privilege, and we're going to say the ability to get, the ability to make for your family, the ability to feed your family, the ability to be independent, the ability to have your own business. These are privileges. And we're going to admit those privileges like we, admit the wrongdoings done unto us. If we admit those privileges, maybe we could take advantage of them a little better. But with that being said, listen, for the next 4 days until Juneteenth, Mayhem Social Media Coalition will be providing information about Juneteenth. Like I said, we have a partner, a sister company named South Central State of Mind Publications. South Central State of Mind Publications has an article that they're going to be putting out for all of y'all to read information on Juneteenth. They have the final draft. They gave it to me. I've gotten it. I've read it. I think it's great. Honestly, information there I did not know nothing about. You know what I'm saying? And I think it's great. I think it's information in there even people that know about Juneteenth might still find interesting. So definitely check that out. Stay tuned. So in helping that, in support of that, in solidarity, in the coalition of that, of South Central State of Mind coming out with their publications, Mayhem Social Media is going to help. We want to build up a little information if we can. We want to help. We read the article, so we know what's in the article. So we want to give you other information that's not in the article or other information, maybe expound on a little information that's in the article that you got coming to read. We want everybody to be happy about it. So listen here, Monday, June 15th. For the next 4 days, we will be posting information, four facts that you might have not knew about Juneteenth. And let that be the reason why you go get that article on the 19th. So here we go. I want to talk about first. I want to start off this week. I want to start off the first 4 days. I want to talk about the beginning, Abraham Lincoln. I want to talk about Abraham Lincoln because some people say, if the Emancipation Proclamation was signed in 1863, why did it take so long for blacks to be free? Why blacks weren't freed until 1865 or 1866? 1865, June 18th, 1865, supposedly, is when blacks in Galveston, Texas, received their freedom, General Order Number 3, received their freedom speech, and then took their freedom, and then from that point, all blacks were kind of free. So it's a question, why did it take so long for all blacks to be free if the president had already signed in, abolishing slavery? So let me tell you why. Let me get a little research. We're going to talk about it why. So the thing about Abraham Lincoln, everybody give credit to Abraham Lincoln for being a great man because he produced the Emancipation Proclamation and he set slavery free. He abolished slavery. Little is known about Abraham Lincoln outside of that. For that fact, they call him Honest Abe and all that. Now, let me tell you this. Honest Abe, Abraham Lincoln was not so honest in the sense that he was against slavery. Abraham Lincoln was not against slavery, yo. Even with the Emancipation Proclamation, he wasn't against slavery. Abraham Lincoln thought slavery was immoral. Abraham Lincoln was a Christian. So morally, he thought slavery was wrong. But also, Abraham Lincoln was a president, which means he was a politician. He was a businessman. So as people know, you can have a feeling about something one way and another way. That goes to the point that Abraham Lincoln really was not against slavery. Abraham Lincoln was kind of on the fence about slavery. That's why it took so long. But let me show you why, the proof of why it took so long. It says, even, let me read these two parts. Let me read the two parts and then at the end of the two parts, I'll talk about, we're reading them. You should see a little bit, then we can expound on it, talk about a little bit of, to answer the question why, if the Emancipation Proclamation was signed into office January 1st, 1863, if it was signed into law, abolishing slavery, why did the slaves not be freed until almost 30 months later? That's the question. Here's the answer, possibly. Let me read this part. But the Emancipation Proclamation itself did not end slavery in the United States, as it only applied to the 11 Confederate states then at war against the Union. Let me read that part. But the Emancipation Proclamation itself did not end slavery in the United States, as it only applied to the 11 Confederate states then at war against the Union, and only to the portion of those states not already under Union control. To make emancipation permanent would take a constitutional amendment abolishing the institution of slavery itself. Did you hear what that said? It said that the Emancipation Proclamation signed into office by Honest Abe in the speech made September 22nd in 1863, and then signed into office January 1st, 1863, was not even what it was built up to be in history. It was only a law that applied to the Confederate States. Emancipation Proclamation was not outlawing slavery throughout the United States. It was only outlawing slavery against the Confederate States, because at that time, in 1863, the Confederate States was at war with the Union. You understand what I'm saying? The Civil Wars between the Union, the North, and the South, the Confederates. So the Emancipation Proclamation signed in by Abraham Lincoln, a Union representative or Republican, did not apply to Union states. It didn't even apply to Union territories. It only applied to their enemies at the time, the Confederates, and the 11 states under Confederate rule. But listen, it says right here, at the end of that part, it says, to make emancipation permanent for blacks and everybody would take a constitutional amendment abolishing the institution of slavery. What it was saying was that there were certain rules written into the Constitution by the Founding Fathers. And there's certain rules that kind of made slavery legal. So with that being said, law is law. So with slavery being legal, it was a right to all the citizens just to get a slave, to own a slave, because it's legal under the Constitution. So with that being, the Bacon Rebellion, man, I'm going to get to it. Listen, so they amended let me read this part. The 13th Amendment to the United States Constitution, ratified in 1865 in the aftermath of the Civil War, abolished slavery in the United States. The 13th Amendment to the United States Constitution, ratified in 1865 in the aftermath of the Civil War, abolished slavery in the United States. The 13th Amendment states, neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as in punishment for crime whereof a party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist in the United States, or any place subject to their jurisdiction. So listen, with that being said, this is what the Founding Fathers wrote into law, a couple of things. They said that any property or cattle, human being, or whatever it may be, is not considered fully, under the Constitution, they were not considered fully a human being. They were not considered fully a man. So that's what made blacks property. Because under the Constitution, under the Founding Fathers, Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin, George Washington, all slave owners, under their Constitution that they wrote for the America in 1776 thereabout, they said that blacks were not even human beings. They were 3/5. They wrote that into the Constitution, a clause of 3/5 human beings. So therefore, Blacks were not considered full human beings. So with that 2/5 being something not human as far as the Constitution was concerned, people were allowed to own them as if they owned dogs or cattle because, cattle share human DNA too. But, I mean, this is the psychology of these people. So come along Abraham Lincoln and the Republican Party and the Civil War. The Civil War forced a separation between the Union and the Confederates. The Civil War only existed because of 1776. In 1776, the Americans that were sent here by the Europeans in the 1600s at 100 years into or 150 years into their existence here on the North Americas had established a government. And with them establishing government, they felt like they could do what they wanted to do on their own. They needed to do on their own or wanted to do. And so they gained the independence from Britain. So when they gained the independence from Britain, they found all this new wealth. And with all this newfound wealth, 100 years later, the spoils of their new wealth was overwhelming to them. So they had a war. They fought. Two brothers went to war over all the stuff that the parents had left them in the home, So that was what the Union and the Confederates did. So when I said two brothers, man, they was Abraham Lincoln, a Union member, and one of the Confederate members, Lee, the boy Lee, the general. These dudes were dear brothers, man. They were still the same people. They were Europeans. And they just fought over the spoils. Abraham Lincoln did not outlaw slavery in all over the United States. He only outlawed slavery with the Emancipation Proclamation in 11 states, the Confederate states. Because the slavery was not strictly about people to them. Slavery was about economics. Because even with the 13th Amendment that outlawed slavery, abolished slavery, they wrote in a clause. It said, unless convicted of a crime. Unless convicted of a crime, slavery is outlawed. But once convicted of a crime, slavery becomes free. It becomes able again. It becomes legal again. That's a little information, man. I want you to understand that. Slavery and the Emancipation Proclamation and Abraham Lincoln, like a lot of other things the American government done, it's all about money. It's economics. It's all about money. And that's why we have to get into economics, man. We got to get to psychology. We got to get to the sociology of things. We got to get to the physiology of things. I think physiology would be a great thing for blacks to get into because physiology will make you really understand, help you really understand who you are, in my opinion. But tidbits, information, Juneteenth coming up, June 19th. You understand me? These videos are done in black. I will do videos in black for the next 4 days in solidarity, in salute, in honor, in homage, in representation for all the blacks, the countless blacks. This black screen is for the countless blacks that they can't fit on the screen. If you would try to fit all the blacks that have paid blood, have shed blood, in order for me to be able to make this video today and put it up on Facebook under whatever oppression is still able to happen. And for that, I black out June 15th. Abraham Lincoln ain't who you thought he was. Emancipation Proclamation ain't what you thought it was. Juneteenth is something you need to look into because it might be more than what you thought it was. Mayhams Social Media Coalition, Black Speak, Black Thought, Black Action, to help make America great for all by helping making it great for us. Let's go.